IVM.
कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen yaar, don't be so conservative. Okay, on Cyrus Says, we've got a very invaluable guest, a young man with a lot of talent, which is good because normally there is no talent on this show whatsoever. However, before we get into that, I would even bring him in because he's a dog lover as well. I've got something I want to rant about. Yesterday, I went over to a neighbor's house. I'm outside in the suburbs of Maharashtra somewhere. And they had a very small dog, part Yorkshire Terrier and part squirrel or something, really small. And while trying to pat him, my lower back went completely. So here's my request. When your dog is so small that he's under knee height, for us dog lovers, can you at least provide a table when we come in? So we can then play with the dog in a nice way, like he's a shepherd or, a Rottweiler or something a little larger. Because it's a very small dog can destroy body parts of aging people in seconds.
Whether you're an established sports person or a budding one, or simply a sports enthusiast, join us, Tanvi and Shlok.
We are two passionate pro badminton players talking policy, mindset and everything sport.
So tune in to The Millennial Athlete every Monday.
Only on the IVM Podcast Network.
Trust us, it's gonna be lit.
I'm still feeling the pain, but I hope Jehaan feels no pain while I introduce him. Jehaan, welcome to the show, which is called, I've written it down somewhere. Cyrus Says. And let me first warn you, this is a crap show, and I'm so sorry that this is all you could come on today. But I'm sure from here, you can only go up. So look at it that way. Everything will be better from this point in your life. But let me introduce you. You're an extraordinary talent. I'm sure you feel a little awkward when I say it, but you are an extraordinary talent. You're a 13-year-old boy who's a master. You can see I'm fidgeting to find the research as usual. This is the kind of work we do here. But you're a fabulous musician, and that's the main thing that we're going to talk about. But I've also got pictures of you as a very young boy holding up passports and things like that. I can't quite tell because my eyes are bad. And I think there's a picture of you with Kunal Vijayekar and Rayal Padamsee. Sorry?
Yeah. The passport one was me at the Harry Potter studio, the Warner Brothers.
That's
studio.
right, the Harry Potter studio. Jehaan, please interrupt me because I just go on talking like a train whenever you want to. Fear nothing. And Sabira Merchant and Dalip Tahil. It's quite a nice cast for 1970. And Fareed Kareem. Yes. All very old, highly disposable. No, I'm kidding. Lovely people. And Rayal and Kunal. Kunal, of course, I can't stand that guy. I don't know why you're next to him. Horrible human being. But let's quickly talk about the set.
Trophy.
That's right. Right. You should have just told me I have one extra one at home. I would have just given it to you. So let's begin at the point of the music, and then we'll go back and see your life. I know you're just 13 years old, but it's been a full life already. So we'll start with this video that's out first, okay? You compose your own. Why? Tell us what was the reason to do that? Or was it sheer boredom? Did a girl leave you? Normally, these are the prerequisites for musicians to.
So
Go ahead.
it started like the CEO and MD of Universal Music India and South Asia, Devraj Sanyal. So he's been sort of mentoring me for the past year, and he's been encouraging me to write my own songs, compose the tracks, and write lyrics and all of that. So what happened was we had done a chapter in school about refugees, and I had also watched a documentary about refugees, like leaving their families and stuff. And I started writing this song on the basis of that. It's called Letting You Go. And also I had seen like abroad sometimes there were these teenage girls pushing prams. And like I was younger then, so I didn't fully understand what that meant. But then as I grew older, I realized that there were quite a few teenage pregnancies. So then they were like, I read in articles in newspapers that sometimes they had to give up their children for adoption. And that was really hard for them, because they were obviously very attached to their children. So I just started writing that song.
Yeah, not to be insensitive, Jehaan, but I am one of those kids. I was given up for adoption because I have nothing in common with my parents. That there's no genetic link whatsoever. But what is really interesting here is you said refugees. Are you talking about like the Parsi refugees that you're thinking of, who many years ago were on their way to Germany, then took a wrong turn and reached Gujarat, where there was no alcohol and no meat, and three generations suffered and took names like Soli and Pesi, which are banned in public now. Was that part of the idea, or just refugees in general?
Yes, of course. It was definitely the Parsi refugees, no doubt.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let's understand.
But I mean, general refugees were a small subpart.
Well, yeah, fair enough. We are refugees in some sense. Of course, now it's a bit difficult to cling to that because there are not too many poor Parsis. There are a few, me included. But coming back to the idea, so you just felt a sense of empathy for refugees, for people who were like outcasts, who didn't have a place to go to, who had no
Yeah,
belonging to some place, and also,
exactly. And even like they had to leave their homes, they had to leave their loved ones. And like, for example, even they didn't know if they'd see them again. Like, for example, putting down a pet because it's really old and they don't want the pet to suffer. And like, it's a really hard decision. All the different aspects pulled together. I wrote this song when I was 12, and then like, I don't know, I wrote the music and stuff, and then like,
there's a lot of pain and suffering in this kind of thought process. Uh, Empathy levels being great and all that, but I'm just trying to wonder, was there a personal thing there of some kind? Is there? I mean, if you don't want to talk about, that's fine. I'm just
no,
asking
no,
if
no,
there is.
school puts us through. School puts us through this stuff.
Right.
We had read that refugee chapter on the Holocaust, so I mean,
Oh, okay. Now that's another world altogether. You're talking about concentration camps and horrible experiments on human beings, genocide in particular. Yeah, wow, that's
that.
pretty heavy. So Jehan, the young Jehan, now I'm going to talk to you in third person because I'm setting this up for the other two people listening to the show, my mom and your mom. So the young Jehan basically came up with this idea where you had a lot of, you were sensitive to the whole idea of people being lost and suffering, and in that the gamut of emotions that you've spoken about, whether it's to do with losing a pet or a loved one or whatever, and even teenage pregnancies or people who have to give away. So it's all about loss of some sort, which is quite
Yeah,
amazing. Is this got anything to do with lockdown also?
yeah, somewhat because I mean, I started writing all of my like music and lyrics and all during lockdown.
So lockdown gave you the platform to go and do this, but the ideas were already there.
Yeah,
Um,
and grandparents, like for example, in this situation, like really old grandparents, they don't know if they'll see their grandchildren again, right?
right,
Like because we don't know how long this lockdown and coronavirus stuff is gonna last.
right.
So it all
Well,
depends.
well, yeah. I've tried to speak to the Maharashtra government to end it by Tuesday of next week, but apparently they aren't very keen. Let's go to the Jehan story from the beginning now, and then we'll probably understand everything. Let's know a little bit more about you. So you're a student in a South Bombay school called Cathedral in John Connon, a school I visited frequently in my youth. First seven standards were great for me. Last three were horrible, but that's my story for another day. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into music and where all this came from.
So well, how I got into music is a little bit of a long story.
I'll stop the podcast while you're talking. You just keep going.
Sure.
Yeah.
When I was four, my teacher at Campion, I was in Campion before I went to Cathedral in the third. Um,
Campion,
yeah.
the enemy. You went. It's like India, Pakistan. You crossed the border from one to the other. My God, go on.
So basically, my singing teacher when I was four, he said that you should go to this place called the Meli Mehta Music Foundation to sing. And like he said I was very musical, so I had to go to the Meli Mehta Music Foundation where I met
Wow.
yeah, where
Can
I
I
met.
interrupt? So four that you have in common with Mozart, whose first composition is at four as well. So there you go. We've got one parallel with one of the greatest, if not the greatest. My dad will kill me if I don't say the
So I
greatest.
didn't compose anything at the age of four. No.
But your voice, there was a little bit of young Pavarotti in your voice, and he saw it, and they sent you to Mehul. To Mehul, I'm calling him Meli Mehta. I apologize. Mehul is the Gujarati version of the same Parsi gentleman. Okay, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, so I met this incredible teacher. Her name was Ryle. And she was like superb. She was really the first one who sort of unlocked this music kind of journey for me. She sort of started. So I actually started Meli Mehta in choral, in like a choir kind of thing where
Hmm.
like all the small.
Sorry, just the guys listening, it's not choir. They pronounce it wrong. It's a choir with a ch. It's like chows. Growing up, a lot of people used to say chows for chaos. It's really irritating. Ch throws a lot of people, especially the kind of listeners that we have on this podcast, John. Right. So it was choral training, which is group singing.
Yeah, basically, and like little kids, they all sat in a circle with the teacher, and then we just like sang. And then like I started taking a few individual lessons with her to develop my music theory. And that's when I started developing an interest for the piano. And like my mom was sick from the time I was 4.5, so she wasn't able to take me to all these lessons and stuff. And so I wasn't able to play the piano and stuff. Like, and I started the piano finally at the age of 10, which is supposed to be a little late for
Yeah.
piano.
Considering you
But
were in at 4 into the academy of sorts, for 6 years you didn't play the piano.
no, I didn't play the piano. I just sung. And like, so my grandmother used to take me to class every Thursday. She used to take me to class. And then finally I stopped going there. And then I started doing the piano. And simultaneously, I started going to the Sobo House of Music, um, which is,
Ah.
yeah, and where I'm at, it's a contemporary music academy,
So you went
sort
to
of.
both. You went to the Meli Mehta Foundation and you also went to this.
No, so I first went to the Meli Mehta Foundation and then I went to the Soho House of Music because I
So
wanted
it's
to
like a
do.
graduation. You went from there to there.
Well,
I'm asking you stupid questions. I'm just trying to trace your journey a little bit. Hopefully, young people watching the show will also understand how one becomes a musician if you have talent. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, so basically, I went from doing classical music to doing contemporary music.
Damn you, Jehaan! How dare you? You let go of classical music for contemporary forms.
I've never
That's like
let go of classical music ever. That still stays in the piano only.
really all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So by
Yeah.
contemporary, what do you mean by contemporary exactly? Anyway, I hope it's not electronica
And
because that I can't stand. And
no,
then I'll have
electronic music, no, it's all type of modern music basically. Like I start like whichever new songs came out. Um, like so the person who taught me, Stephen Sir, and all the other teachers over there, they did those kind of songs with us, like
no. Are we looking at
pop,
folksy songs or pop? Yeah, 60s, 70s kind of
pop.
songs, or are you going into
No, I
contemporary
went
music?
2016, 2017, that type of
Oh
stuff.
my God. So you moved to Sobo, and I, like an idiot, went on about contemporary music, which we finally figured out is actually from the last 2 or 3 years and not the way I thought. Um, okay,
Yeah.
but my point is, we have, I think I would say, if you don't mind, similar backgrounds. So I find it, you're raised with one kind of music completely at home, and then suddenly you're thrown into, I know, with the peers and the friends you have modern music to listen to, but at least in our households growing up, we would only listen to a certain, from classical to folk to maybe, the Beatles, Elvis, up to the 70s maybe, and after that nothing. And that's the way I am. I'm very square with music. I can't stand anything because of that upbringing. So I'm just wanting to know if you had a similar upbringing growing up, and then suddenly you're thrown into this Sobo place and
I'm
all
not
these.
thrown into it. I actually kind of like wanted to do it
Oh, you're a
because
rebel.
not no because I like classical music. I like pop. I like rock. I like all different types of genres.
But how is that possible?
I like fusion.
What are you saying?
Yeah,
I,
because
I fight with my wife about this all the time, Jan. Please advise me. Because her whole thing, being an artist, is that she says she shouldn't disrespect food or paintings or music or all that. And I'm like, but you have to, because if you like something, you have to hate something as well. Like, I hate poha. I'm going to say it right here. I hate poha. Okay, I cannot. If they told me the only way you can stay in India is you eat poha, I'd leave. I just walk off. Because I think, because if you love, say, Velpuri and you hate poha, that balances out. So I don't understand why you have to like all forms of music, but
no,
if you're saying
because
so,
Freddie Mercury, for example, who is like till date one of my greatest
and
inspirations. He
probably
took
a grand uncle.
that. No.
Huh.
I mean, so but coincidentally, my grandfather's name is actually Farouk. So
My father's name is Farokh. Now, how close is that? Talk about karma. And he used to play all instruments, by the way.
Wow.
Right now, not in very good shape, but he did. Anyway, back to you. Back to you.
So like Ferry, he combined all different sorts of music. So he actually had a classical foundation, and he did all
Correct.
sorts of new types of music.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but it didn't go into electronica, thank God, because I love the Queen sound. No, yeah. Okay, I won't bore you to death with my picky and choosy of music. So you went from the classical training foundation, which is great, and then you go into this sobo and you experience a more contemporary feel, etc.
Yeah.
But by now you're playing instruments as well.
Yeah, so I started coaching for piano with the legendary Professor Blossom Mendonça. She is like fabulous. I mean, she's amazing. She really unlocks that whole journey of musical learning for you. So,
Will she
like,
take on a 49-year-old middle-aged man? Because I learned the piano when I was young, but I've forgotten now. I've learned quite a
yeah,
few,
she would for
you
sure.
know, but my
Yeah,
hands, my left fingers are longer than my right fingers. There was always a bit of an issue.
yeah. So, like, she,
You've ignored it. Go on. You're
so
doing the
like
right thing.
three
Huh.
years, I went from being like a to being like a grade eight. So
Okay,
I
now,
mean,
Jehan, you lost me. What is it? Ten, 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 ten.
is playing one note with one finger.
Oh, okay, all right.
And like I then playing complex
Ten,
pieces.
ten, ten, ten. Everybody watching the program, try it at home. Ten, 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 ten. Okay. So what you're saying is you weren't that fluid, and then because of Blossom, you started playing like Horowitz overnight.
Well, not no. I mean, I would say I'm well.
Papa, don't be modest. You're here because you're obviously a very talented boy. That's fine. You don't have to agree with it. I won't even make you talk about it. Let's just move on from there. So she started teaching you everything, and so. But how old were you? Still 10, right?
Yeah, I was still there. And then what happened was at the age of 11, Stephen Sir, who was at the Soho House of Music, he said that I should apply to the Juilliard Summer School.
Ah,
So the Juilliard Summer Program. So we applied, and I went in July 2019. Yeah, I went in July 2019 to the Juilliard Summer Program.
wow.
That was really a blast because it was kind of like meeting people who really understood stuff about music, like, and the way I felt, like, because we all felt the same way. So I was a music major, and I was a singing major and a music minor. So in singing we had choral recitation. Um, so and the choral recitation teacher, she was just fabulous. She was so fun and energetic, and she just knew how to get us into the music. And in music,
All this. Sorry, Jan. You're only 12 at this point. Huh?
I'm 11 actually.
11. Okay. 11. You're in Juilliard. You're actually working with probably the best teachers in the business,
Yeah,
especially for a modern career, I would think. And you're specializing in singing, singing in general, and you're getting an
yeah,
instrumental degree as well of sorts. Oh,
yeah. Even choral as well, but like singing as well. So, and then in music minor, we basically had to form a band out of a few people. So there were like around like say 30 to 35 people in that group, and
what
out of
age
each
group? Are they all young or mixed up?
no. So mixed up from ranging from like 11 to 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually, not even 11, 9 to 18 years old. There were some people younger than me over there. So that was like really
There's a bit of a
intense.
growing up experience for you, not just from an arts point of view and your profession, sort of honing your skills, but also dealing with foreigners, different people, new culture, new environment. Were you alone?
No, I mean like my parents were there for Julia. They came,
Right.
but I had a full day at Julia, and then I came back home in the evening, and it was in Geneva. So I was like, yes.
Can I just segue there for a second? I've been to Switzerland. My wife, who wears the pants in our relationship, or shirt as well, she drove us all across Switzerland. And though I like Switzerland, I couldn't stand the food. I found the food was very one-dimensional. I wasn't able to get. I really suffered.
I
And they
really
eat a lot of horse. It scared
I
the hell
love
out of
the
me.
food. I absolutely love the food. Like every morning, I used to go to the
Oh, you're
shop.
breaking my heart.
I used to go to the train station, and there was this little shop over there, and they had freshly made mini pizzas. So I used to have that for breakfast every day. And then I used to have these heavenly vanilla cruffins. Not well, that's what they call in India. They're custard kind of cakes. They're filled with like vanilla creamy custard in the middle, and it's super sweet. And basically, you just like dig in. And so what I did was I basically had all the custard first, and then I had the bread alone.
Wow. That sounds much better than my experience in Switzerland, where there were just five things on the menu. In fact, in Montreux, if I remember correctly, has that famous Freddie Mercury statue. We
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
frequent there. Did you see that?
No, I was in
You didn't
Montreal. I
leave.
was in
Okay,
Geneva.
you didn't leave Geneva. All right. Let's get back to the story. So then you got, what was this, 3 months? 3 months in the academy?
No. It was actually 2 weeks. So
Oh,
two
2 weeks.
weeks
Okay.
in Juilliard, and then it was quite intensive actually, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, and then I came back. And then what happened was I did my first ever recording of a cover of Queen, My Melancholy Blues. Um,
Let
and
me let me check with my critic. Queen's My Melancholy Blues. Play. I'm organizing it as we speak. Go on. Sorry. And this was where?
this was back in India only, in Mumbai.
No, but where did you perform?
I didn't perform. It was in a studio.
Oh,
It
you
was
just
like
recorded it.
it was a live recording in a studio,
Okay. All
one
right.
single day. So yeah,
Wow. One single take
yeah, I did it in one day
by choice, or it was like some
by choice.
reason for that?
By choice.
Excellent.
No.
Again,
No,
Mozart.
people
Again,
also told me to do it.
that's another Mozart. I don't know if you can hear my quartet barking in the background. It's music to only my ears. But that's also Mozart moment because he never rewrote. So it's similar to doing a single take. It's just he wrote in one streams of consciousness, one shot. I'm a big fan of all that. I love artists who do that without looking, checking things. Apparently, Shakespeare was the same. You can never really prove it. There's no rewriting. It's always, the performance is once, with or without mistakes. It's just once. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. I like that. So that we've got two. Wow, that's a huge
So
burden
and then
in a sense.
that Queen cover, so miraculously, somehow, I still yet don't know how, but Queen picked up that video
Yeah.
and they posted it on their YouTube like videos page and on their Facebook. So, and that's how this all started, kind of.
Wow.
Because from there, Devraj Sanyal picked me up. And then he
Right.
started mentoring me, and then I started writing songs, and then I wrote this song, and then
Before we get to Devraj, let's just talk about Queen for a second. Look at this. This is just an amazing, I won't say coincidence, but it's almost like karma. So they had a Parsi boy who was the front man who made them one of the greatest bands that ever lived. And then somewhere later, way later after they're a legendary band, of course, but they don't really perform. And then another Parsi boy turns up, thanks to the internet, and boom. And yet maybe you look like a young Freddie. Let me see your teeth, Jehaan.
no.
I'm just kidding, bro. Come on. Listen, if all people remember Freddie Mercury's lovely front teeth, let me tell you that they've not understood the value of the man. Yeah. So, no, so, I mean, this is tickling, it should have tickled you pink.
Yeah,
Queen.
I was super happy, but I was also like, what's going on kind of thing.
Wow, that's just fantastic. So we're talking about Queen. I mean, that's a real pat on the back, when something, I mean, that's a story that happens to very few people. One of the greatest bands gets into you, and then, you're on another level after that. So one, tickle pink. Two, what are your favorite Queen songs?
Oh God. Um, Favorites?
Bohemian
My
Rhapsody.
Melancholy Blues for sure. Yeah, I definitely like that. They keep changing from time to time. So I think Bohemian Rhapsody, yes. I like We Are the Champions. I like another one.
Abandoned Girls.
Well, no.
No need to smile, young man. Just a nice song.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to like it. What about Those Were the Days of My Life?
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Yeah. All right. Before we go into a break, I just want to talk about Devraj Sanyal, who, do you know, he was with Brahma and he was a rock musician and
Yeah, yeah.
his background. because he's from my generation growing up. In fact, they had a Parsi drummer with the same name, Cyrus, if I remember correctly, in the
Yeah,
band. So they were quite the rage for a little while, and then this music, I think indie pop took over, and the rocking, the more like rock heavy metal sort of band that sort
yeah.
of went into the background. But I don't know, I can't remember the whole thing. But Devraj was very much a front. He was one of those Iron Maiden sort of performers who comes and sings. I have strong memories of Devraj Sanyal. So yeah, now tell us about his relationship with you.
So after Fiend posted me, he sort of picked me up, and he sort of like just got to know us a little bit, and then he started mentoring us. He started mentoring me. Sorry, I mean he got to know us, and then he started mentoring me.
I don't blame you. That's the fault of Arnab Goswami, who speaks in third person and fourth person. So when you start saying us and all, it's normal. A whole generation is weaned on that guy, and it's fairly acceptable. Do not worry. So he again. All these are coincidences. That you had no
Yeah.
influence or friendships with anybody. Queen out of nowhere, just through the internet. Devraj out of nowhere, just got to know because a buzz happened, obviously. So the little buzz happened in the music world, and boom. So he picked it up, and then he said, "Wow, this kid's got talent," and he descended on you.
Well, yeah. So yeah.
Horrible phrase to use. I apologize. I pull that back. What I mean is, he saw you and said, "Okay, this guy's got something. This kid's got something." So when did the composing bug happen? So far we've seen that you're learning your craft, you're learning your art rather, and the composing bug, the bug. How does that start?
So that sort of starts like just a month or two before lockdown. And then once lockdown starts and I get a little bit more free time, it sort of starts to kick in. Because I had anyway been just playing rubbish on the piano. So I kept playing rubbish on the piano and one day decided I'll write like words to that rubbish and that. So I mean like and then gradually like I started to learn music production as well. Like side by side with online school. So
Wow.
yeah, it was quite a lot of fun.
There was no pressure on yourself. You just were experimenting and seeing what happened. And
Yeah.
then suddenly getting this sense of sensitivity towards the world and this sense of loss. Again, I don't want to invade your private space. And then writing a really heavy sort of a song, which, for a 13-year-old sounds
Yeah.
like the suffering poet.
Yeah, I think we sort of all suffer from separation anxiety to some extent. I mean, I know I do
I
because
do.
my mom was sick, right? And like sometimes I woke up in the night like not knowing where she was, and like because she was hospitalized and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, it was a little scary. But then as I became older, we also figured out what the problem was, and then she started getting much better. She is much better, touch wood today, and well, yeah.
Wow,
So
separation anxiety. He's 13. Amazing. Let me tell you, it gets worse. At 13, you're feeling a more perhaps realistic sense of it. By 49, you'll feel what I feel, which is if they take away my drawers or my favorite underwear, I feel upset. Because you get close to things and stuff.
yeah.
Before we go to the break, this is a slightly personal conversation, which I hope you don't mind. You're 14, you're Parsi. The race is dying and dwindling. My daughter's had her Navjot. She's no, you're 13, she's 14, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Non-vegetarian household. Uh, how do I take this further, Jehan?
Well, I don't.
Awkward moment number 68. Let's just enjoy it. I don't think my daughter could hear, so don't worry, you're fine. You're off the hook. All right, great. So this is the setup. Are you going to sing it all? I don't want to put pressure
Well,
on you.
if you sort of like me to, I mean, I can play my song for you if you like.
Can you play it, and then we'll take a small break and bring Silvery in with the AMAs.
So
So this
I can
is,
share
yeah,
screen.
sorry. You're going to share the screen? Excellent.
Yeah.
I'll just do an Australian version of an announcer. Ladies and gentlemen, Jehan live in concert from Napkinsi Road, Mumbai. Where is it exactly?
It's in Cup Parade.
Cuff Parade, Mumbai, just off Napkinsi Road. Jehan in concert.
Woke up in the morning to find all my dreams crumbling. I try to get out of my bed, but I seem to be made of lead. I was
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was a
wow.
little bit of snippet.
Yeah, that's a lovely taste. And we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back. Just before we take the break, so this arrangement is also you?
So I sort of made a basic track and then it went for production in the US, where the producer sort of fleshed it out and added all those cool sound effects and stuff. And
Okay. Well,
made
that's the
it.
modern world. Fair enough. But the first draft is you, and then they've put the bells and whistles the way they wanted to.
I wrote, composed, and sung it.
Wrote, composed, sung, and also put it together, and then they've added a little bit to it. But let's create more. Don't worry. We can be a little creative with what we're saying. Jehaan is with us. He's a prodigy. He's a musical talent, which you're going to hear lots from. He's been picked up by Queen, the surviving members, of course, who are, what is the word that you say, uptowed in Gujarati by his performance. And he's going to talk to us about life in school at the age of 13 as well when we come back. We'll be joined by Silvery after the break.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Would like to thank our sponsors on the network this week. Siet, thank you so much for sticking with us. On the Paisa Vaisa podcast, Anupam was joined by Sujata Alawat, who spoke about women's credit behavior and about improving credit scores for better financial health. Gauri Devi Dayal was joined by Barkha Dutt on This Round Is On Me. She shared her thoughts on present-day media and journalism, and some of her experiences from the days of her reporting. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talked about how meditation is like getting engrossed and absorbed into an activity where you are free of other thoughts and focus on just one thing. On Agra Station Adulthood, Ritasha and Ayushi were joined by Supriya and Priyanka Joshi for an honest and heartfelt conversation about life as a woman in the 2020s. On the Filter Coffee podcast this week, Karthik invited Bala Srinivas, who has been an active mentor in the startup scene in India, and they discussed its various aspects from funding to government support. Our traveling professor Siddharth talks about this academic document called Statement of Purpose and helps us understand its concept and shares and some tips on how to draft it well. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me. We're back after the break. Keep going.
I just want to say, like, I'm super grateful, like, to God for all of these opportunities. And, like, I don't know how they came. And I mean, I'm just, like, so grateful. And because I never, like, imagined that this would, like, actually happen. And I mean, I'm so grateful.
Well, as far as I know, God doesn't listen to the podcast. There's no feedback we're getting from there. But I have to tell you that I did make a call to Queen. And I did call Devraj, who's an old friend of mine. So I don't want to take any credit, but I've done my bit, Jehaan. I can't do any more now. I'll just sit back and enjoy the Jehaan effect as you grow from strength to strength. In the meantime, we have Silvery, who cannot play a single instrument except his organ, which probably
I've
is not
tried
something we
over
should
my life to play multiple though.
You have?
Yeah, I've
You
tried
actually,
the guitar for 2 months. I have tried. I have a
don't tell me
saxophone at
YouTube
home.
videos. Don't do.
No,
Did
no,
you
no,
get
no.
it?
I took
A
classes for
tutor?
2 months. 2 months.
And
Yes,
why do you
correct.
stop?
Man, I lazy. I guess. Just I don't know what to say. I also tried to learn the saxophone for about 2 weeks, which also did not pan out.
For a guy who couldn't master the guitar, you went straight for the sax, which is ouch.
Hey, nice.
Jan, is there something in that? I mean, you just have to be. I guess within a few days, or maybe in the first touch, a guy knows whether he's musical or not.
Well, I don't, I honestly don't know. But I mean, I guess you have to just, like, keep trying.
Stick with it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
But that wasn't Silvery's story. Is not yours. The moment the moment you got close to a piano, you knew you could sort of play it and whatever.
No, well, not really. I mean, I had to keep learning. So as I kept learning, I could keep playing. I mean, it became easier.
All right, but your passion must have been much deeper as well. I think he just wanted to become a rock star and have the groupies and the ladies shouting his
No,
name. And unfortunately,
Always, of course. Yeah.
sorry,
I mean, like,
no, not Jehaan. I'm talking about Silvery.
okay, yeah.
Sorry on me. Yeah. No. He won't insult you, Jahan. Don't worry.
Yeah, not on the program, Baba. Afterwards.
Yeah.
Jehaan, are you
Should we
cool?
get the
Are you
AMAs?
good to go with the AMAs? Yeah. This is
Yeah.
the Ask Me Anything section. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Some fun AMAs. Varun Sandeshi asks, "Hey Cyrus and guest, Guys, I've always. Oh, this is related to what you were just talking about. Guys, I've always wanted to learn a musical instrument, but I always find it difficult to stick to it. Have you ever learned an instrument, Cyrus? And which instrument do you think is the easiest to pick up and learn?
We were made to play the recorder when I was 6 years old. I'm trying to remember the whole sequence of my aunt Roshan used to teach piano right till 3 4 years back when she's basically wheelchair bound. But so we learned the piano. I could play number 21. Tang, tarang, tang, 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 tarang, tang, 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 tang. That was my favorite. I could play that a full bar of that as well, and with both hands, by the way, Jehaan. Uh, I don't know if you learn the same things, you know. Na, 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 na. So all that, bring to me only with thine eyes. I could play that as well, which is quite a complicated. But now, then we stopped and started swimming and crap like that, and now I can't play anything. I tried. I remember doing a play called Godspell, and there was a piano after a long time there while we were rehearsing. So I thought maybe it'll come back, but people would beg me to shut up. It's really painful. Silvery, you and me. Damn it.
Yeah, we are the failed musicians here.
We are the alternate Beatles.
Yeah.
What, really. Uh,
Jahan, what about you? Yeah.
Would you like to answer it?
Is there an instrument, Jahan, you think which is slightly more easier to pick up than other instruments?
Or a starting instrument, perhaps?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the guitar may be a little bit easier to pick up.
What a slap on Silvery's face. Ouch.
Well, I can't even do the easy things. Yeah.
They gave you the simplest one.
Yeah, I know.
But also, I think for a guy or young male, not to be sexist, but the idea of having a guitar with the whole image thing and all, maybe that also helps young guys get into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Jehaan, don't you see guys in your class and all growing up, at least at more in college, maybe for me, playing air guitar who can't play a note? But it's some music playing in the background. They'll be like, and they're not playing any chords or anything. The left hand is just in the air pulling a light bulb, and the right hand is doing its own thing. I find that, and then I ask them, hey, you can play guitar, because some of them put a really good show on, of air guitar and all that. And then you're like, no idea, never held a guitar in my life, just feeling it.
There are people who are proud of their air guitaring skills. Like, man, I air guitar the best, dude. Yeah, I'm like, dude, anyone can do it. It's not a skill.
No, but Silvery, he hasn't started drinking yet. He's still only 13. You'll give him 5 years or whenever that starts. He'll be around guys who, after 2 or 3 drinks, start thinking they actually are with Air Supply or, Iron Maiden or whatever the hell groups of today, whose names I don't know. I love those guys. As they get more drunk, they would just start playing their hearts out, and it's all, the guitar's this small. It's like here somewhere. So much fun. Oh, Jehaan, lots of good stuff coming up in your life, mate. Just keep that phone recorder on, huh? Then next
one comes in from Ashish Jadwani. He says, "Hi, Cyrus and guest again. A big fan of the show. Cyrus, if you had to interview one and only one member of the Beatles, who would it be and why?"
It's very hard, but I would always go for John Lennon. Many reasons. I won't bore everybody, but I just think John was evolving all the time, and I love Paul McCartney also, and George and Ringo, but all said and done, I felt John would keep changing and was changing when he was shot as well at just the age of 40. So who knows what he would have
Were you a
behind.
fan? Were you ever a fan of their individual music also, like the independent music?
So John's individual music, definitely. Just like Starting Over, Jealous Guy, those. Paul, not so much, but obviously as the Beatles, no question. Jehaan, where I grew up, if you ever install the greatest group of all time, we get violent. So you cannot say any anti-Beatle things on this podcast, please. All right?
Are you a fan of the Beatles, Jahan?
Well, yeah, sort of.
Okay, fair enough.
Under pressure, to quote Queen, under pressure. All right. If not the Beatles, who's the one musician that you would interview? Would it be Freddie?
Well,
like you have a choice of anyone, living or dead. Who would you choose? That's a tough question, I know, but whatever comes to mind.
living or dead?
Yeah, living or dead. John is dead, for example. Some of the best interviews are with dead people.
Well, I think dead would be John Lennon, probably.
Not Freddie.
Well, Freddie as well, but you said from the Beatles.
Okay, I'll go outside the Beatles for you. Because
okay, then Freddie, no contact, Freddie.
And no classical musician?
Well, no. No. I mean, as much as I love to play classical music, I wouldn't fancy interviewing one of those classical
As your
musicians.
German isn't that good or Italian, so it'll be
You
a
know, they were
problem.
often said to be a little mad in that as well.
Mozart definitely was absolutely. So urinate in public and things like this. Crazy guy, complete artist. Beethoven was deaf by the time you interview him, so it'll be fine. Handel, Haydn, I can't remember too much. Schubert, Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky didn't like the ladies, so that would be a problem. Let's move on. Next question.
Okay. Next one comes in from Nikita Mahajan. She says, "Hi, Cyrus and guest. I just gave my 12th boards and I'm still not sure of what to do next. How do I know whether whatever I choose now will still interest me in the next 5 or say 10 years down the line?"
Firstly, I love the phrase "I just gave." It's only in India that we say it. I just gave my exams. I just,
I gave
you
my
know,
exams.
I don't know whether it translates from Hindi better. मैंने exam दिया. Well, how do you say it, Maya? Since you passed, she won't answer. Jehaan,
What do you mean? It should be I wrote my exams or
I did my exams. I passed my exams. I finished my exams. I don't know, but we say all of us say this. I gave, and this it's an Indian thing. You won't hear it anywhere in the English speaking world outside here, but here it's normal. In fact, lots of people will say it. Jehan, how would you? What would you say?
In English or in Hindi? Because in Hindi, I can't speak Hindi well at
That
all.
won't change. Generations later, Silvery, the Parsis have destroyed the Hindi language.
I
पीछे
just
से देता है
finished my
तुम
exams, I guess I'd say. I just finished my exams.
All right, but now I forgot the question because our
the
petty
question
minds
was
got into that first line and now I can't remember.
yeah. The question was I just gave my 12th boards and I'm still not sure of what to do next. How do I know of whether whatever I choose now will still interest me 5 or say 10 years down the
God,
line?
this is a fabulous question and so difficult to answer.
Yeah.
Jahan is a veteran here. Let him take it first. But do you guys know? I mean, you're even younger than Nikita, but do you have any idea? In your case, music is a very strong part. So one is thinking that will be your profession. But in most cases, when you finish 12, you don't really know what you want to do. Or even if you
Yeah,
do, it may change.
yeah, that's true. It may change.
What does Jehan want to do? Is it music, music,
Um,
music, or is there another?
well, I don't know. I guess I want to become like an artist, like singing stuff. And,
So there's no question of any fallback plan like
I mean, of
medicine
course,
or
there is.
architecture.
I love science and maths. They're my favorite subjects.
Wow. So he's already good at studies and he's artistic. What a waste, no? To have so much.
He said he likes them. He didn't say he was good.
No, he's good at
Just
them.
in all fairness.
No, nobody likes physics, bro. You gotta be
Okay,
good at
that's all right.
physics. You can't say I
I thought he
really
said
like looking at a
I like
physics.
physics
You know,
Mastera.
refraction is my favorite thing in the whole world. I hope that's physics. I can't remember.
He's saying he likes physics.
I love maths and I love chemistry. I like physics. I like
Oh
bio.
wow. Oh wow.
Wow.
That's good.
Well, I hope you find the right girl. Okay, no, he's got his
You,
music. Girls will never be a problem. Yeah.
Jahan, would you try for like some colleges like Juilliard or something like that?
He's
Because you
already
are super talented.
he's already done that summer course, so it would be some brownie points, I presume.
Yeah, probably, but that's classical. So
Okay, that's
I'm
classical.
moving towards rock and pop and contemporary music.
Okay.
What about Purdue? And so no university abroad teaches you or rather the whole gamut, holistic.
Berkeley does.
Berkeley, correct. So, but this, what is the one you mentioned? Sobo,
So
House of
House of
Music.
Music, it's basically like they train you for singing. Basically, it's not like a proper like school or stuff, but they send you for exams and stuff, and they're really good. I mean, my vocal cords like are changing now because like I'm
Can you
going
hit
through
the high
that.
C?
I think I can if I like scream a
Wow.
little bit.
Oof. At 13, if he hits the high C, there's no looking back. Yeah, I can hit the high C, but someone has to hold body parts. It's obscene, and we should not mention it on a podcast.
When my voice started changing, like I thought I wouldn't be able to sing, but then Devraj, he sent me to this amazing vocal coach called Samantha Noella at the Statute Academy of Music, and she's just like top notch. I mean, she understands how your vocal cords work, and she can really train them to work in whichever situation. Like right now, my voice is going through that like super irritating phase where like sometimes I just
But it
like
hasn't cracked. Has it cracked?
it started cracking actually around a year ago.
Oh, okay. So it's become going to be more male sounding now in the next year or two. Yeah,
Yeah.
so probably you're going to get a deeper timbre to his voice. It'll all change. I, of course, my voice never cracked. I still sound like an 8-year-old girl, which is good on the phone because people who are lonely, then they have someone to talk to who's interesting. Let's get back to the question. Sorry, Silvery.
Yeah, the question was, how do you know whether something you choose will be something you're interested in the next 5 10 years?
Yeah, but
No,
you can't answer that. Even he can't
you
answer
can't.
that, and
Yeah,
his
maybe.
path to music is very clear. But what is Jan? Can you answer that? How can you answer what you'll do at 19? Things may change in your life, and suddenly you may say, "I want to become a weightlifter." You
I
know?
have, I have no idea.
I
Yeah, I
think
think.
I think what you can do is choose a more generic course than a more specialization course.
Yeah,
And then, because most people, like 90% of people, okay, maybe 80% of the people end up doing something completely different anyway from what they
it's
studied.
it's like Vineet, who we spoke to, the
Yeah,
entrepreneur. The left brain, right brain thing. Now, Jehaan is a classic case of that. He's got the very creative brain, and he's got the very scientific brain, which
yeah.
tells you all
I'm
along.
left-handed.
You're left-handed, but we've been told that
Oh
you're either
wow.
one or the other. Like they would say in my case that he's not good for academics but he's little creative, so whatever. So I think that's a wrong notion. A lot of people are mixed. Like he
Yeah,
clearly is
everyone
because
is mixed actually. And
yeah.
it doesn't depend on which side of your brain like functions more or whatever. I
But
mean,
in your case, I'm saying there's a good chance that you're really good at science also because you're passionate about the sciences at this young age. Plus, he's obviously excellent in music. So I'm just with the Vineet case, which is similar, in the sense that these guys, and there are plenty out there who have that option of both. So the education curriculum should allow you, like you said, Sylvie, to be flexible. We need to, since our
True.
podcast is award winning and makes differences in society as we speak, we must get somebody from the educational board on. Because I don't know,
Yeah.
in America, you have that option. So he could literally study music along with a business degree. It's possible. But he probably won't be able to do that here, as far as
yeah,
I can.
there kind of are universities that do give dual degrees. So I
Where
think if you get a dual degree, like Europe and in the US, like Brown University, for example, they give dual degrees.
there you go. Which is good in a way because also you get away from one side and go to the other side, which I think is also therapeutic for people like yourself who have this dual mind, as against some people. We can't escape. Some of us can't escape because that's all we can do. Sometimes I just think it's a little boring to just do the same thing again and again. It's like marriage. You can't change your wife every weekend. I've tried. Oh. Silvery, I'm just giving him good advice from a
That's right.
middle-aged perspective, and Jehaan is just going to tell his mother never again after the podcast. Can we squeeze in one more? I want to ask him one question about
Yep.
dogs. Can I do that?
Yep. Sure.
Yeah.
While
Yeah. Please
no,
go ahead.
I was going through the. I've been in touch with your mom, Jehaan, and you're a huge dog lover. I'm always pushing the animal agenda, but unfortunately, because of her illness or something, is it allergy or what? She's not very comfortable having a
No, no,
dog
no,
yet.
she sometimes feels dizzy and she actually has chronic migraines and stuff. So I mean, it's a brain inflammatory disease.
So can I
So
recommend? Can I
yeah,
recommend, because I don't know health, but I do know canines to some degree. Do not get a Dachshund or a Yorkshire Terrier who's very small, especially with someone who's feeling dizzy, because you'll trip over the dog. You need to get yourself a GSD or an Indie of a certain
yeah.
size. Okay, they're super intelligent. You don't have to do anything with a GSD. GSD is like a 7-year-old child. You don't have to go through the diapers and the feeding and the nursing and all that, the puking and crapping all over the place, that rubbish things kids do and get away with it all the time. And stupid people say, how cute, which I found really disgusting. Imagine if you were there at 6 or 7. That was your first week on earth. So that's what the GSD gives you. He's so sharp. And honestly, I'm seriously telling you,
Yeah.
since you both your mom and you love dogs, I think you really should keep a dog. It keeps the family together.
Yeah, my dad also loves dogs.
Then go for it. GSD. Shall I find you a rescue dog? We try to find rescue indies, rescue GSDs. Will help you.
Well, maybe in a year or two.
Okay. He's not taking my offer. I'm most hurt. My sweat is pouring from my armpits as we speak. Yeah. All right. Whenever you're ready. But believe me, you won't regret it. I know mom has issues and concerns about her health, but trust me, you won't regret it. And I don't know what will happen. You'll disappear probably with your talent to some other country and study further in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And mom and dad will have that dog, which will keep everybody together. Just think about that. And remember, dogs are allowed in Dungarwadis. They're allowed in Agyaris. They're allowed. They're the only, non-Parsis aren't allowed. I've had fights with photographers and all that. I've told you this story, right? So we did
Yeah.
one thing on New Year, Navroz, and we shot inside the Godrej Bagh Agyari. And the poor, I think he was a Maharashtrian photographer, and he was trying to get in to shoot better because we wanted that opening. It's very grand, you know, the Agari from the front, but he wanted us to go deep so he could whatever. And he came in, he stepped in, and the Dastoji screamed at him, "Oh, what are you doing? You're not Parsi. Oh, get out, get out!" And then fellow, what do you mean I'm not Parsi? Get out! And then they said, "But आपके पास कुत्ता है अंदर." Doggy is Parsi. You're not Parsi. So yeah. Anyway. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not going to force you, Jenny. Your mom will call and scream at me later. I don't want that. But can we squeeze in one more?
Yes, sure. This last one comes in from Girish Thapar. He says, "What is the craziest professional dream you've ever wanted to achieve? And do you think you would reach there in your life?"
Jehaan, have you had a crazy professional dream? Like, would you like to be in a rock concert or in a musical or people screaming your name? I think all of us do that at some point.
Not the screaming your name type. That's just a bit too much, I feel.
Well, that comes with the territory, Jehaan. If you're famous, they're going to scream your name. And luckily, it's 2 syllables, not like bloody Antariksh. That would take half an hour. You were a rock star. Can you imagine the Western tongue tripping on your name? I love him. I love
What's his name? I don't know his name, but I love him. Yeah.
So we gave you Silvery. Your rechristening of Silvery will make you a household name. You become really big as a comedian. Can you imagine? They all recall you fast. Otherwise, Kunal Kamran would take hours to get to. So Silvery, that's my gift to you. Jehaan, I have no gifts for you. You could give gifts to me from what I gather. But as we say bye to you, is there anything else you want to say about school? Because I hate school and I think there's just too much regimen there and we should stop it as a concept. Now, of course, you're going live. Your mom said you're going back to school in a week or so?
No.
Oh, is that online?
No, that's online. That's online.
Okay. All right.
I really miss school, like honestly, because I miss being in physical school. I miss my friends. I miss running through the corridors and running down the stairs and heaving as I climbed 3 floors with a heavy bag.
Hey, in the middle school, I peed in the girls' toilet.
Oh, what?
You must do things like that. That's the only way you feel good about yourself when you're in your 40s. That you did silly things. Yeah. I remember we did it in working hours also, proper working hours. And I think there was a girl inside the toilet, but she didn't say anything. 2 of us went in. Oh, what fun. Jehaan, things to do, put it on your list. Win Grammy Award, work in Oscar-winning film, and be in toilet for females. Don't forget. Yeah. All right, this has been great, Jehaan. Thank you so much for being on the show. Let's keep in touch if you don't mind. As you become a big star, don't ignore us.
No, of course not.
Ours is a small platform, but
I don't think I'm going to be a big star. So, I mean...
It's not in your hands. Look at your life. Your life is just taking its own course.
I won't ignore you anyway.
No, but you listen. Somebody saw you on the internet. Next thing you know, Queen gets in touch with you. Devraj gets in touch with you. This is a bit of a low for you coming on the podcast, but other than that, it's all been high. So I think I think your life is taking its own course. This is a big question in Shakespeare as well. I'm sure you'll study it at some point if you haven't already. Is man, in control of his own destiny, or is destiny in control of man? I think it's Brutus and Cassius in the same play give you both options. Is the stars above that govern us? Or what is the other line? I can't remember. Will come to me.
Yes.
So here's the question. What do you think? Destiny or yourself?
I think it's both.
He's young. Youth is wasted on the youth, as Oscar Wilde said. All right. Cheers, Jehaan. You've been wonderful. I'm sorry if I pulled your leg and spoke too much.
Thank you so much.
Said all the wrong
I had so
things,
much fun on this podcast.
Don't be silly. Your credit to not just the Parsi community, but to India and to music. And I hope you do really well. I'm sure you will. And Silvery, I have nothing nice to say to you.
Hey, that's fine. I'm used to it.
Okay, bye, guys. See you.
Thank
See you,
you.
Silvery. See you, Jehaan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you. We need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से हाय आई एम सदफ
And I'm Arshit. खाने का इतिहास, इकोनॉमिक्स, पॉलिसी, साइकोलॉजी सब है मेन्यू पे.
ओनली ऑन द नानकारी पॉडकास्ट एवरी वेडनेसडे सिर्फ IVM पॉडकास्ट ऐप या वेबसाइट पर या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, Travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you, Begin the Journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.